Talksy Books, your bibliographic podcast.
Ready to unlock a level of achievement you didn't even know you had?
Sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
Well, today we're going deep, really deep into the psychology of success.
Okay, I'm all ears.
And not just like the surface level stuff. We're talking Brian Tracy level. This is a guy who spent over 25 years traveling the world, working all these different jobs, just totally immersing himself in this quest to figure out what makes people truly successful.
I like it. Someone who practices what they preach.
Exactly. And his research is insane. We're talking 80 countries, 30,000 hours of interviews and studying successful people. He's distilled all of that into his famous Phoenix seminar, which honestly could be a whole deep dive on its own.
Wow, 80 countries. That's commitment.
Right. So our mission today is to kind of extract those golden nuggets, those powerful principles from Tracy's seminar that you can actually apply to your own life right now.
I'm in. Consider this my crash course in achievement then.
Exactly. Your shortcut to a lifetime of, success hacks. So one of the things that really struck me when I first dove into Tracy's work was how he completely throws out those traditional markers of success.
You mean like the usual suspects, intelligence, good looks, being born into the right family?
Exactly. We're so conditioned to think that those are the keys to the kingdom. But Tracy found that they're not the primary drivers at all.
Interesting. So what is? If it's not those things, what's the secret sauce?
Okay, get ready for this. He says that humans have this natural, built-in success instinct.
A success instinct. Okay, I've got to hear more about this.
Right. So we're hardwired, not just to survive, but to actually thrive, to achieve, to constantly be pushing our own limits.
So it's more than just like survival of the fittest. It's like striving for something more.
Exactly. Think about it. We don't just settle for basic survival. As humans, we're always reaching for something more, aiming higher, wanting to grow and evolve. And that inherent drive, that's the success instinct in action.
Okay, I'm with you. But then why do so many people seem, kind of stuck? If we've got this natural instinct for success, why aren't we all crushing it?
Right, good point. Tracy calls this being stuck in the law of accident. It's like we're living our lives as if things are just kind of randomly happening to us instead of us having any real control over them.
Ah, I see. Living life on autopilot instead of taking the reins.
It's like being a ship with no rudder. You're just sort of drifting along, hoping for the best, but not really going anywhere in particular.
Ouch, that one hit a little close to home. So what's the antidote to this whole law of accident thing? How do we break free from that?
It all comes down to understanding and embracing what Tracy calls the law of cause and effect. And this is where things get really empowering.
Okay, I'm ready to be empowered.
So the law of cause and effect basically means that, we're not just victims of circumstance. We actually have the power to shape our own outcomes.
So it's about recognizing that we're not powerless bystanders in the movie of our lives. We actually get to write the script.
Exactly. It all starts with understanding that our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, they all have a direct impact on the results we create in our lives. And to illustrate this point, Tracy tells this incredible story about one of his students.
Okay, I love a good story. Let's hear it.
So this student, he really believed that his IQ was super low, something like a 98, which he thought was just barely scraping by.
Wow, talk about a self-limiting belief right there.
Right. And because he was so convinced of this, he'd basically given up on ever excelling academically. He just assumed he wasn't smart enough. But then, come to find out, he'd actually mistaken a percentile score on some standardized test for his actual IQ.
Oh, wow. So he was walking around thinking he was practically bottom of the barrel, when in reality...
In reality, his IQ was way above average. He was one of the brightest students at the entire university. And the craziest part, as soon as this realization hit him, as soon as that limiting belief was shattered, his grades skyrocketed.
See, that's the power of belief. Even if it's a completely false belief, it can still become our reality.
Exactly. And we all have those self-limiting beliefs, right? Like, I'm not smart enough, or I'll never be able to afford that, or I'm just not cut out for this. And those beliefs, they hold us back big time.
They really do. So how do we break free from them? How do we rewrite that negative self-talk?
Well, according to Tracy, it all starts with challenging those beliefs. It's about acting as if they don't exist until eventually they just sort of fade away.
So fake it till you make it.
In a way, yes. It's about shifting your mindset from I can't to I can. From feeling like you're at the mercy of fate to realizing you have the power to create the life you want.
Okay, I like it. So it's not about some magical overnight transformation. It's about understanding and working with these fundamental laws that govern success.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that success isn't just some random lottery. It's about aligning yourself with these principles and taking conscious action. But hold on, because Tracy doesn't stop there. He takes us even deeper down the rabbit hole with some truly mind-bending mental laws.
Oh, you've got my attention now. What other mind-blowing insights does Brian Tracy have in store for us?
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
Because up next, we're diving headfirst into those mental laws that are secretly running the show in all of our lives.
I'm ready to have your minds blown.
Always up for a little mind-blowing action. Lay it on me. What's first on the agenda?
Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into those mental laws Tracy says are secretly calling the shots in our lives.
Okay, hit me with your best shot.
First up, we've got the law of expectations, and this one, let me tell you, it's a real game changer.
Game changer. Okay, you've piqued my interest. Tell me more.
Basically, it means that you tend to get what you expect, even if those expectations are like totally off base.
So we're talking about those self-fulfilling prophecies, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go into a job interview, convinced you're going to bomb it, chances are you probably will.
Exactly, you've hit the nail on the head. And the crazy thing is, this isn't just some new age mumbo jumbo, you know? There's actually some serious science behind it.
Oh, really? So like legit research on the power of expectations.
Absolutely. I'm talking about Dr. Robert Rosenthal at Harvard. He did these fascinating experiments where he gave teachers false information about their students' abilities. And guess what?
The teacher's expectations actually influenced how well the students performed.
Exactly. Even though the information was bogus, those expectations became a reality. Isn't that wild?
That's incredible. Okay, so this law of expectations thing, it's not just about positive thinking. It's about how our beliefs, even the inaccurate ones, can shape our reality.
Precisely. Our beliefs are incredibly powerful, even when they're flat out wrong.
Okay, so how do we use this to our advantage? I mean, it can't be as simple as just like wishing for things to be different, right?
Well, it's not quite that simple, but it's not as complicated as you might think either. This is where the law of attraction comes in.
Okay, the law of attraction. Now this one, I've got to admit, I've always been a little fuzzy on how it actually works.
Well, I think a lot of people get tripped up because they think it's just about like wishing for $1 million and then poof, it magically appears in their bank account.
Right, like some sort of cosmic vending machine.
Exactly. But it's so much more nuanced than that.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me the nuanced version.
The law of attraction is really about recognizing that our dominant thoughts, the ones we focus on most often, they act as magnets, drawing in experiences and circumstances that match those thoughts.
So it's not about the occasional wishful thought. It's about what we're consistently feeding our minds, what we're dwelling on.
Exactly, you've got it. If we're constantly dwelling on negativity, on what we don't want, guess what we're attracting more of?
More negativity.
Bingo! But here's the good news. It works both ways. If we can shift our focus to what we do want, to those positive outcomes, those become the magnets.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's not about ignoring the negative altogether. It's about not letting it dominate our thoughts.
Exactly. It's like choosing what to focus on, like adjusting the lens through which you view the world.
So if we can master this whole law of attraction thing, we can basically design our dream lives, one positive thought at a time.
Well, it's not quite as simple as that, but you're definitely on the right track. And this leads us perfectly into another one of Tracy's biggies, the law of correspondence, which basically states that our outer world is always reflecting our inner world.
Okay, that makes sense. So if we want to change our external circumstances, our relationships, our careers, it all starts with changing our internal landscape.
You got it. It's like looking in a mirror. If you don't like what you see, you can't just change the reflection.
Right. You've got to address what's going on beneath the surface. Okay, so our outer world reflects our inner world. Got it. But how do we actually change our inner world? It's not like we can just like swap out negative thoughts for positive ones, like changing a light bulb.
You're actually using a good analogy there. Think of it more like a software upgrade. Tracy says we're in a constant state of becoming, right? Always changing, evolving. But the direction of that change, well, that depends on our dominant thoughts and goals.
So our minds are like computers, and we need to upgrade our mental software.
Exactly. We have way more control over the programming than we realize. And just like a computer, if you keep running outdated software, you know what happens.
Glitches, things start to crash, you can't run the latest programs.
Precisely. And Tracy calls this psychosclerosis. Basically, it's like hardening of the attitudes. We get stuck in these old patterns and limiting beliefs.
Hardening of the attitudes, that's a scary thought. So how do we avoid becoming, mentally inflexible?
It all comes down to understanding and working with two incredibly powerful forces, love and suggestion.
Okay, love and suggestion. Those seem like pretty different forces to me.
They are, but they both play a huge role in shaping who we become. Let's start with love. At our core, we're wired for connection, for belonging. We crave love, both giving and receiving it. And when that need isn't met in healthy ways, it can really drive our choices, often unconsciously.
So a lot of our actions, even the ones we don't think are related to love, might stem from either seeking it out or trying to avoid the pain of not having it.
Exactly. And then you've got suggestion. And this isn't just about other people influencing us, although that's a big part of it. Suggestion is about how everything we're exposed to, the media we consume, the people we surround ourselves with, the environments we spend time in it, all seeps into our subconscious and shapes our beliefs, our thoughts, even our self-image.
It's like if you're constantly bombarded with negativity, doom scrolling through the news, watching those, super dramatic reality shows, hanging out with chronic complainers, it's like you're feeding your mind a steady diet of junk food.
That's a great analogy. You wouldn't expect to have a healthy body if you only eat junk, right?
Yeah.
Same goes for our minds.
So mental detox time. Give us the goods. What are some practical things we could do to start upgrading our mental diet, so to speak?
Well, Tracy is a huge advocate for reading and listening.
Reading and listening, so like audiobooks, podcasts, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Consuming good quality information books, articles, podcasts like this one, even just having stimulating conversations with interesting people. All of that feeds your mind with positive, growth-oriented input.
It's like having a personal development coach in your back pocket 24/7. I know for me, changing my media consumption, being more intentional about the podcasts I listen to, even just being picky about who I follow on social media, it made a huge difference.
It all adds up. And here's another big one. Pay attention to your reference group. These are the people you spend the most time with, the ones whose opinions you value most.
So the people we surround ourselves with, they really do influence us, don't they?
Big time. Energy is contagious, both positive and negative. So if you're surrounded by negativity, it's going to rub off on you. On the flip side, when you're surrounded by positive, supportive people, it's like this incredible upward spiral.
Love that. Surround yourself with your own personal cheer squad. Okay, so we've covered the mental diet, which is huge. But what about actually reprogramming those limiting beliefs? Like, how do we ditch the old software and install that brand new operating system for success?
That's where those rapid reprogramming techniques come in. And don't worry, we've got a whole toolbox of them to dive into. But that, my friend, is a story for another deep dive. Oh, you're killing me with the cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I think our listeners are going to love this next deep dive. We've covered so much ground already, from the importance of understanding these fundamental laws of success to taking control of our thoughts and beliefs, surrounding ourselves with the right people, and feeding our minds a healthy diet of information. And in our next deep dive, we're going to take all of that and give you those actionable tools to really start making some serious changes.
Exactly. We're going to hand you the keys to the kingdom, or should I say, the keys to reprogram your own mind for success.
Love it. So for all you listeners out there, here's your homework. Start paying attention to your thoughts, your beliefs, and the information you're consuming. Start surrounding yourself with those positive influences. Because in our next deep dive, we're going to give you the tools to transform those insights into lasting change. Until then, keep those minds open and those expectations high. Talksy Books, your bibliographic podcast.